Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. We are back with another Dragon Ball bi-weekly figure news roundup. We are going to be talking about the last 2 weeks of figure news, everything that has dropped, and I'm actually uploading this on a Sunday. Crazy development! I know nothing actually got in my way this week of making this video, so it's not going up on Tuesday. You'll love to see it. We are going to be talking about plenty of things that have happened in the world of figures, especially considering I'm sure most of you have seen the title that's going to relate to this guy right here. I have so much to say about that guy. We'll get to that guy in a little bit, though. As per usual, we're going to be covering everything from the last 2 weeks of figure news that have happened since the last figure news video that I dropped from 2 weeks ago. Obviously, we did have a bit of an impromptu one to let you guys know the pre-orders were up for Gohan, but let's go ahead and hop into it on dbzfigures.com to start us off. So, we did have the SH Figuarts 15th Anniversary Gallery Part 2 go up. On the official site, they have a new report showing the second part of the 15th Anniversary Gallery in their flagship store in Akihabara. On display are the newly announced figures like Latent Power Trunks, Android 19, and Goku's effect parts. There's also a big collage of Goku made with the side ends of all SH Figuarts boxes. Many of their characters are on display. So if we look, we can actually see at the store in Akihabara, they have a bunch of new figures on display. We can get a good look at Trunks. He is obviously looking very, very cool. Funny enough, they're saying some things that I talk about in my videos, and it's very faithful to the source material, which is kind of funny. Obviously, Android 19, we've taken a look at him in a previous figure news video. As well, you can see here the different displays. They're all kind of in these little glass cases, which is pretty cool, as well, showing off the new Goku effects. Obviously, we talked about these in a previous figure news video, but these do look pretty cool, and obviously, it's interesting to see how the official people who actually, make SH Figuarts decide to display these, because obviously, this is an official display. So that is pretty cool. Definitely a very interesting way to use those effects. I think you could also definitely use them in a different way too, but I quite like the way that they use them for sure. As well, here you can see from all the different sides of the boxes, like they're talking about, they made a Goku mural, so that's pretty cool. Definitely a very interesting way to do that. Obviously, this is the Saiyan raised on Earth Goku. And yeah, look closer and you can see that it's all these boxes where they basically took the figure out of the box. That's kind of cool, to be honest with you. And obviously, a little bit of history about SH Figuarts and stuff like that. Of course, the 15th anniversary commemorative Super Saiyan Goku. I know a lot of people have really wanted this guy to get a re-release. He came out so long ago, so it is very cool to see this guy finally getting some kind of remake. It is kind of unfortunate, though, that he is going to be a convention basically exclusive. I mean, not exactly a convention exclusive, but kind of the same thing, right? Special commemorative figure celebrating the 15th anniversary world tour, first scheduled to April 28th to the 30th in New York, USA. The tour event is set to go worldwide to visit 5 cities around the globe, and the special Goku will be available at all of them. And then they also talk about is open until May 22nd. So I will say on the topic of this guy, because I know we've talked about him for a couple of videos now, whether or not he is going to release for the general public. Personally, I am kind of anticipating this guy to release on Premium Bandai, as unfortunate as that is, and we're also going to have a lot to say about Premium Bandai today. With figures like this, right, in recent time, what they've done with convention exclusive is they've had them exclusive to a convention, and then later on, they post them on Premium Bandai so the normal consumer can buy them. Obviously, this isn't exclusive to a convention specifically, right? But you understand my point, right? An exclusive version of a figure. And I would be very surprised if they don't do that with this guy, considering so many collectors really, really want this guy. Sorry if you heard that Discord ping. I forgot my other phone was in a Discord call. I was screen sharing my summons on Dragon Ball Legends earlier. Anyway, moving on from the boy Goku, we do have the April 24th news. They did talk a little bit more about Goku here. Start of another beautiful week here with a new episode of Dragon Ball Figure News. Obviously, the event is first going to be in New York, right? Of course, selling the limited figure in NYC. I do not know if we have... Yeah, see, funny enough, he says hopefully they post it on Premium Bandai. I don't know if we have a list of the other places that it is going to be available. I have not seen anything about that personally. If anybody does know any information about that, definitely feel free to post it. Actually, let me see real quick. Here we go. I was looking for the Dragon Ball official sites page for the event. Unfortunately, it does look like, as far as I can see, the only thing that they have announced in terms of locales so far is New York City. If we take a look at this image, you can see that the only one that they have listed so far is the one in New York. So we'll have to see what other places they decide to announce across the US, and I'm assuming across the world, considering it says World Tour. But we do have a couple more images of Goku here. I don't believe we got to see these in high quality last time, so we can take a look at them. Funny enough, if you click on the image, it just opens the same page again, which is kind of weird. But if we just open it in a new tab, we can get a good look at Goku. And if I do say so myself, he looks pretty good. Obviously, this is very faithful to the original release of the figure, which makes sense, obviously. The original release of this guy was pretty good. Of course, the gimmick with this guy being an exclusive version of this figure is simply the fact that he has the hair, right, kind of being a little bit translucent. But I think the faceplate looks really good, right? Especially the screaming face does look very, very good. The gritting teeth face here looks fantastic. Really, really like that one. Here is another look of it. I will say it does look a little bit weird from that front angle. And the screaming head, I don't know, maybe it's just the angles that they're looking at, but I feel like the face does look kind of a little weird. Also, interestingly enough, it looks like the stand that comes with this guy, I'm assuming, is going to be some kind of 15th anniversary stand, because that is... oh, great, because we zoomed in on the image, it zoomed in here. You can see that there is this on the bottom, although maybe this is referring to attendees will get awesome freebies, and it's talking about this stand, but... nonetheless, still a pretty cool looking figure. Definitely going to try and pick this guy up. I got the fake way back in the day of this guy because I like this guy so much. So it'll be interesting to see how they've upgraded this figure over time. I will say, looking at his body, it kind of doesn't look like they've upgraded it as much from the old sculpt. It kind of just looks like they took the old sculpt and made it again. Like, the joints for the arms don't look any more updated like usual normal, or not normal, I guess now normal, but I should say newer SH Figuarts figures. The knees, I understand that's kind of hard because obviously his knees are exposed, but even like his top half, if we go to this angle here, you can see there's a ton of gapping on this figure everywhere. So I do kind of wonder if they just reuse the mold from the very first one. By the way, I did notice down here, we do actually have the list of venues for this. Unfortunately, it looks like that there isn't going to be anything near me. We have New York City, Tokyo, Mexico City, Shanghai, and Paris is all of the locations that this is going to be. If we go all the way back here, besides Super Saiyan Goku, we did have two more, actually three more, I forgot about this. The SH Figuarts figures have been pumping out these past 2 weeks. We had a teaser of Android 20. We have known that this was coming for a while now, but Premium Bandai is getting ready to launch Android 20 to go along with Android 19, which the latter is currently available, but pre-orders will close on Sunday, April 30th, which is the day that this video is going up. If you haven't ordered yours yet, make sure to do so by then. No pictures yet, but I will update when there is more info. Check the images below. So right, obviously they show the figure right here in the images for Android 20. It's literally, or for Android 19 rather, excuse me. It's literally just this one image of Android 20, but of course, as you can see here, right, they are going to be making a Dr. Gero, which is pretty cool, if I do say so myself. Obviously, it makes sense that they would be making one if they're going to be making an Android 19. I don't know how many people will be interested in this guy. Obviously, he is technically one of the main Dragon Ball villains. I mean, he did make Cell, but I know that, like, people aren't necessarily a fan of these guys as much as they are important to the Dragon Ball story. Certainly Dr. Gero more than Android, 19. But nonetheless, we will, of course, take a look at him when they announce more info about our boy. But for now, it is just the teaser. Oh boy. Okay, before we get to Metal Cooler, because I kind of want this to be the last thing that we talk about on DBZFigures.com here, let's talk about the 15th anniversary re-release. As you can see, the official Facebook Tamashii Nations page has revealed the results of the 15th anniversary SH Figuarts re-release campaign, and you guys probably remember that fans were able to vote on a specific Dragon Ball figure from the SH Figuarts line to get re-released for the 15th anniversary, and the most votes was actually a Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, which is kind of funny because all things considered, I'm pretty sure this was the one that I wanted to re-release the most, because I was saying, man, it is so hard to get your hands on this guy for a decent price. So I am actually pretty excited that it was this guy. I'm sure that they could have gone with a couple of other figures for sure, but I am honestly pretty hyped about this. I definitely want to get this guy. I've always wanted this guy, especially now considering I have not only Blue Goku, but Blue Gogeta and Vegito. It'll also be really cool to have Vegeta for the collection as well. So I am definitely very, very excited that he is going to be the figure getting the re-release. I'm hoping that they still include the Super Saiyan Godhead, because interestingly enough, they never made a Super Saiyan God Vegeta SH Figuarts figure. This guy just had a Super Saiyan God Vegeta head included in the Super Saiyan Blue box. So that will be pretty cool to be able to also get that, assuming that stays in there. As you can see, it does say the image looks like it is the Broly movie version of Vegeta that was released about maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah, we don't know when this is going to be going on sale. They have not made any comment on that yet. We just know that it is going to be happening. And I mean, obviously, it's the Broly movie version because, you know, that was the only blue Vegeta. Holy cow, Vegeta. I almost said Gogeta and Vegito at the same time, bro. The fusion of the two fusions. But yeah, very, very cool. Definitely pretty excited for that. Very much so looking forward to him. If you would like to pre-order any of the Dragon Stars figures coming up, obviously we did take a look at these guys previously in another figure news video, where of course we have Omega Shenron, which I actually don't think he looks too bad. His face does look a little bit weird, I will say, kind of square, I guess. But nonetheless, I still think he looks alright. And again, the whole point of these is that they're supposed to be action figures, right? That's kind of the whole point of Dragon Stars. Not necessarily that they're collectibles, even though I know they kind of get treated like so. Gohan Beast also, looking a little less beastly, if I do say so myself. His forehead is a little huge, if I'm being honest with you. However, again, oh my gosh, they just reused the same render again? Bruh, they didn't even get a new render. Come on, guys. Nonetheless, though, obviously, I know for a fact if I was a kid and I just watched Superhero and I got this figure for Christmas or for my birthday or something, I would go nuts. So I think it's perfect for that purpose. And, of course, we also have the Gamma battle pack, right, with Gamma 2 and Piccolo. Makes sense. Obviously, this is $40 because it comes with 2 figures in the box, right? You're getting Piccolo and Gamma 2. Kind of funny that it isn't Awakened Piccolo, but I guess they're probably saving that for another figure. So this is just basically quote-unquote superhero Piccolo, even though it's basically just normal Piccolo, but nonetheless still pretty cool. And again, definitely if you don't have the SH Figuarts version of any of these guys, this is definitely a decent ulterior option. There is also, speaking of Gogeta and Vegito, I believe this is probably the Limit Breaker line. Yeah, the Limit Breaker line is the 1 foot tall figure line that they have. These are like vinyl figures, kind of closer to that, but also kind of more along the lines of action figures. Personally, again, I don't really think that these look too great in terms of like the face, right? In terms of like accuracy. But again, that's not really what they're going for. They're supposed to be toys, right? However, I do have the Golden Frieza actually from this line. I think he looks fantastic. I don't know why they popped off on Golden Frieza and didn't again in terms of like anime accuracy, but nonetheless, still pretty cool if I do say so myself. Again, if I was a kid and I got a foot tall Vegito figure, I'd be going nuts. All right. Final thing, again, another reminder for you. If you would like to pre-order the Figuarts Zero Gohan Beast, he is available for $109.99 on Big Bad Toy Store. You can pre-order this guy and they will not charge you right away. This is one of those websites where you put your pre-order in and they only charge you when the item ships, so you don't have to worry about paying for it now. I do talk about more of my thoughts on this figure in these 2 videos, but primarily this one because obviously this is discussing the basically everything revolving around the pre-order for this man. I didn't know how I want to word that. Sorry, I know I just kind of paused in the middle of nowhere. My brain short-circuited because of Gohan Beast, bro. I'm just so excited we finally have a good Gohan Beast. But nonetheless, yeah, definitely check out this video if you'd like more info on that. However, definitely go pre-order the boy if you are interested. Now, before we get into it, actually, you know what? Since we're talking about him, I guess we might as well look at this tweet, and then we'll go back and look at Metal Cooler there. We actually do have some IRL pictures here from Tamashii Nations themselves of the boy Gohan Beast, which is pretty cool, if I do say so myself. This guy definitely looks fantastic. Obviously, in person, he looks really, really good. I definitely like the look of this figure. I think the base looks fantastic. The figure is like basically the same as how we were kind of seeing it in the promotional images, but getting a better look at the base IRL, and especially with how big this guy is, this guy is going to look fantastic. Now, let's finally get into the meat and potatoes of the Metal Cooler shenanigans that we have going on here. So we may as well just go over to Premium Bandai's website because, you know, this is basically just going to tell us everything that we already know about Metal Cooler here. Oh, don't you worry. We'll talk about those images in 1 second. So let's go to Premium Bandai, my favorite website on the planet. You can tell that I am excited and salty to talk about this figure. SH Figuarts Metal Cooler has been announced with a December 2023 release date. Pre-orders opening 2 days ago. You have probably seen me retweet a couple of tweets about this. This figure has kind of been making the rounds on Dragon Ball Twitter because, of course, you know, it looks sick. I mean, look at this man, right? Obviously, Metal Cooler and Cooler himself is a pretty fan favorite kind of side Dragon Ball villain, right? Obviously, a movie exclusive villain, right? I think especially in recent time, fans have really kind of taken a liking to Cooler. And not to mention with this amazing looking paint job on this guy, holy cow, he looks great. I will say, one thing that I did see some people complaining about with the paint is that he isn't blue enough, which is an interesting take. But I understand, because in the original release of the film, he definitely looked a little bit more teal rather than silver. I kind of have a feeling that he's supposed to look silver, but obviously in the way that the movie was animated, he kind of looked a little bit more blue. Which is just an interesting decision that they decided to just kind of go for this chrome look, right? Nonetheless, the figure does look really, really good. Obviously, this is such a nice looking SH Figuarts figure. And you can see here too, if we zoom in, there is the arm. That is, of course, when Cooler gets his arm smashed off in the fight with Goku and Vegeta, right? His arm reforms with all the wires, you know, traveling down and then forming the hand, and then like the metal shell goes over the wires. Such a cool accessory, if I do say so myself. And if I were to get this guy, I would 100% be displaying him with this arm because that is just so cool. And that is an awesome accessory to have for the man himself. One other interesting thing to note about this too is that there is a ball joint at the tail here. This is basically the way that Cooler's tail was, the final form Cooler. However, I will say it is a bit jarring, only because I feel like it's more noticeable with this guy since his tail is so like segmented in the way of like the little slits, you know, that obviously is kind of like that mechanical way, you know, that sort of like, I don't know, just the normal way that Metal Cooler's tail looks. I will say the breaks in the tail do kind of bother me a little bit, but obviously when it comes to posable figures, articulation I feel like is more important in a case like this, right? Regarding which one I would value more. And I would say that having the articulation there is definitely worth it more, because if those pieces where the ball joints are there were smashed together, right, so they were next to each other, right, and like literally rubbing against each other, there would be no way that you would be able to articulate it, right, because you wouldn't be able to get that movement. So I understand why it looks like that, but it definitely looks a little bit more fluid on a Final Form Cooler's tail for sure, because it's just all purple. Of course, the iconic shot of Cooler right there. We have Cooler doing the funny kick. And I'm sure you've probably noticed that there are multiple hand pieces in here and feet, right? You can see that Cooler's feet are kind of clenched there. And for this, they're flat, which is kind of interesting. We'll go over that in a second. And they have the audacity to show these images. So this one is pretty cool, I will say, with all of the boys lined up here. Obviously, this is very reminiscent of that original scene with all of the Coolers looking over the mountain at Goku and Vegeta. And then they have the audacity to show this image right here. First of all, graphic design is my passion. You're telling me they couldn't have done a better job at this than just taking the one cooler PNG and copy pasting it over and over and over? I could do this in my sleep, bro. Bandai, hire me to be your graphic designer. I got you if this is all it takes. But nonetheless, this is just so silly. You're telling me they couldn't have just put them in multiple poses at least? Like, I don't expect them to pose each individual of however many there are here. I have no idea. If somebody wants to do the math, please in the comment section, I'll pin your tweet. Your comment rather. Sorry, I'm a Twitter addict. Nonetheless, this is insane, right? How many coolers there are in this image. And here's the thing that's so entirely crazy about this. The one thing that I've kind of been avoiding the elephant in the room and why I'm so angry about this, because I'm sure you're probably thinking, well, this figure looks great. What's the problem? That's the problem. $120? $120? Now, that's not to mention. I always have to bring this up when it comes to Premium Bandai. When you're looking at this price on Premium Bandai, that's not all you're going to pay. Because you also have to pay tax, and then every single time you make any order on Premium Bandai, it's always $10 shipping. No matter what you buy, no matter how many items you buy, 100, it's always $10 shipping. Why? I don't know. That's just the way that it is. So $120. So let's go and see. What do you get for this? This is cool, I will say. At least it is a worldwide release, right? A lot of the time when it comes to SH Figuarts, Japan gets them before we do, and then we kind of have to wait a couple of months, and, you know, literally that SpongeBob meme of Squidward looking at Patrick and SpongeBob having fun out the window, right? It's us looking at Japan enjoying the figure, right? At least this time around, we'll all be getting it at the same time. So, of course, for our promotional material here, I have been reborn, stronger and sleeker, new and improved, as you may say. Metal Cooler. Very, very cool promotional material here, for sure. Definitely like this a lot. Metal Cooler's metallic body has been recreated with metallic coloring to accurately capture his appearance to the film. Featuring the latest figure technology to improve on the range of implemented motion improved. I mean, I guess technically, but first implemented with Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Right. So obviously this guy has the new, what is it now? The 3.0 body, I believe, that we're on for SH Figuarts, where basically he has the upgraded articulation that started with Super Saiyan 4 Goku when it comes to modern SH Figuarts figures, which is pretty cool to see. Obviously, that's definitely something you want if you're buying a figure like this. I will tell you, for those of you who may be thinking that this guy will be, like, actually metal, right? Die-cast, most likely. No, that is not the case. First of all, this figure would be crazy heavy if he actually was die-cast metal. But it is still the normal, well, normal, I guess in quotation marks, considering he has a silver paint job, type of plastic for this figure. So it is not going to be super heavy. That would be kind of crazy if that was the case. But increased range of movement in the shoulders and legs allow you to recreate scenes from the film. Yes, of course. With previous SH Figuarts figures, probably wouldn't be able to do some of these poses, but it is cool to see that they can. Featuring 4 different expression parts. So are they actually counting now? I guess we'll have to see when we get to the bottom, because usually they count the default one that comes on the figure not as a expression, but I guess this doesn't say 3 accessories this time. So in terms of our faces, we have the regular default face, we have the grinning face, the gritted teeth face, and the screaming face. I will say these all do look pretty good. I think that the first one is probably the best one if I had to give you a pick, right? I definitely like that one of the regular, you know, face. Maybe it is just because I'm so used to seeing that super attack from the Fizz Metal Cooler in Dokkan, right? Where he first appears on the scene with that expression. But I'd say these look pretty good, right? Definitely very, very close to Metal Cooler's anime appearance. Extra parts include Metal Cooler's arm as it regenerates, right? We talked about that, as well as extra feet parts, right? So this guy comes with the flat feet and then the grippy feet, right? Which makes sense. Now I wonder, if one Metal Cooler gave you so much trouble, how will you fare against 1,000? First of all, funny that they didn't uppercase Metal Cooler or put a question mark here. Spelling mistakes everywhere, bro. But nonetheless, so we obviously have the little notice down here. Metal Cooler, vied by fusing with the Big Yeti Star to appear in Dragon Ball Z. The Return of Cooler is now available in the SH Figuarts series. The figure's mobile structure uses the latest SH Figuarts Dragon Ball structure and the blue parts of the... Blue? I mean, blue-ish, I guess, but I wouldn't say as blue as the movie. He definitely looks more chromatic here. I mean, certainly in this shot, he looks bluish, right? But I feel like that's just the background. I don't know. It definitely has that hint of blue. Maybe it's just because it's not in hand, right? But I feel like it definitely looks more chrome to me. I definitely see the blue accents in there, but I don't know if I would call it blue straight up, you know? Nonetheless, are painted to reproduce the character as depicted in the series. 3 types of exchangeable head parts and 4 types of exchangeable left and right hands are included. So what's more, exchangeable arm parts are included, and you can even reproduce the arm. Okay, after it gets damaged. Right. So the main body, right? Exchangeable hand, left and right, 4 types, right? Which is pretty cool. 3 exchangeable head parts. So obviously that doesn't include what comes on the body, and of course, this would technically be. You add one more to that because, of course, it's the hands that come on there, the exchangeable arm, and then the exchangeable ankle parts left and right, which is those ulterior feet parts, right? So, obviously, this is just the basic stuff that they usually have when it comes to the figure. But how are we feeling about this? Chat, I'm talking like I'm streaming right now. I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think of this figure, right? I am very split because the figure looks fantastic, right? I think that there's no denying that. However, $120 for a normal SH Figuarts is ridiculous. Not to mention, right? Obviously, the whole gimmick with Metal Cooler is that there's a bunch of them. So if you wanted to recreate this image right here, how many is there? 6? So that would be, what, 600 right there, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. Sorry, I'm bad at math. That's $720 just to recreate this image right here. If anybody wants to do the math for this, right, keep in mind it's also tax and shipping, $10 for, you know, your entire order. If you want to do the math on this monstrosity right here, please, by all means, I will 100% pin your comment instantly. But by golly, to recreate this image, you would have to mortgage your home. This is crazy, right? And the one thing that I kind of want to compare this guy to for you, right, is the original SH Figuarts Cooler, right? We're talking, of course, Final Form. If we go to Cooler here, right, and then we can look at no longer available, we can take a look at this guy, right? And you can see that the SH Figuarts Final Form Cooler was only $80, right, when he released back in 2021. I have this figure. I absolutely love it. And this guy comes with almost the same kind of thing, right? He comes with, right, blah, 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 blah. Let's go down to compare the two, right? He comes with definitely less hands, right? Obviously 4 for Metal Cooler and 3, I'm doing this backwards, 4 for Metal Cooler, right? And 3 for him. Obviously the exchangeable feet, right? Is of course the 1, right? Which would be the left and right, and the exchangeable face parts, right? Obviously in terms of the faces, right? He technically only has 2. I guess I don't have a good showing of it, but yeah, it's this where the mask is undone, and then of course the mask is on. So this does come with more hands, and obviously it also comes with the arm that is reforming. But I definitely don't think that $120 with that many couple of extra accessories is justified to raise the price that much, right? And this guy, of course, has even more so the build of a normal SH Figuarts figure, while this guy was really big. Obviously, this guy is a lot more akin to the size of Cooler, right, compared to a normal figure, right? This is 7.5 inches, whereas if we go down to Cooler here, right, you can see they don't even have the size listed. They don't even have the size listed. Interesting. Well, nonetheless, obviously, he will be closer to a regular SH Figuarts figure. So I don't know, man. It's just kind of crazy to me because usually when they jack up the price like this, they try and add in a lot of accessories. Like a good example of this, right, is Kefla, right? if we look at the SH Figuarts Kefla, which is another figure that I have, she was $62, right? And this figure, of course, came with Kefla, right? It came with 2 faceplates. It came with 3 left hands and 4 right hands. The energy effect part, the attack part, and the exchanged arms, right? So it came with all of these different expressions, right? It came with the crossed arms here, all those different hands we talked about. It came with this little ball of ki. And then, of course, it came with these 2, for an SH Figuarts, pretty big accessories, right? For how small the figure is. And obviously, Kefla being a little bit smaller of a figure herself, right? They only charge $62, which I still think is kind of a lot for this, even so, right? Especially considering how small she is and unfortunately how low quality the figure is, but not relevant to this video. And you're telling me for way less accessories, they have the audacity to charge $120? I am assuming that they are basically all making it ride on the fact that it has this metal body, right? That it looks like it's accurate to the movie, right? That is really the only reason that I can come up with that would make sense to me why they are trying to justify this price. I understand that obviously it looks cool, but it's just a paint job at the end of the day. And I feel like you could get the same effect if they had the regular Figuarts cooler come out at some point, right? Like the base form one, or I guess it would technically be 4th form. And then you just spray painted it chrome and, you know, jazzed it up a little bit. I feel like you could get a similar effect. So this may be the first SH Figuarts figure that I really want, that I actually skip in a long time. Recently, when it's been coming to these premium Bandai releases, obviously, you basically have to get it from premium Bandai when the pre-order is up. Otherwise, you will never get it for a decent price ever again, because on the secondhand market, it will go up in price like crazy, right? So, this one, I'm going to leave up to you, dear consumer. I would probably give a pass on this one, which is crazy because as much as I hate premium Bandai, I still buy the figures because I know that I'm not going to be able to get them otherwise, but I just can't justify the $120 price point for this guy. I feel like even a couple of years ago, this figure would have been maybe like $60 or $80 or something like that, but $120 is just so ridiculous. So please let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I would be very curious to hear your thoughts on this one. Absolutely. I don't know. I may try and hunt down this guy after he releases to see if I could somehow get him for a cheaper price, because I do really like him. I do like Cooler, and it would be cool to have this guy, you know, with the final form Cooler as well. If you're able to make some kind of like Cooler movie Super Saiyan Goku, right? That would also be pretty cool. The cool puns are coming in crazy. But anyway, we will move on from the boy. Let me know what you think, of course, in the comment section below. And as always, definitely let me know what you thought of everything that we took up a look on dbcfigures.com. And the link to them will be in the description below if you would like to check out the stuff that we took a look at for yourself. Let's go ahead and pop back over to Baggy's Twitter here and go to our next item. We did talk about these guys a little bit in the last figure news video, the impromptu one that I did, talking about the pre-orders for Gohan Beast, but I did want to include this in the new video here, where obviously we're doing the recap just as a quick aside. Obviously, we have the September Dragon Ball high-quality production images for the prize figures for September, and these all look pretty cool. We have the Solid Edgeworks Prize A Piccolo and the Prize B Piccolo. Very, very cool, with obviously the base being the cape, and we will actually get some more angles of these figures later. Of course, the A prize having the turban and the B prize not having the turban. Both are very good. I don't think that there's necessarily one more better than the other. I think that they're both pretty cool. I might myself get B because I do think these are really cool. However, I don't have a Piccolo figure with the turban, and I think the only one that I've really wanted in the past is kind of expensive at this point, so we'll see on that guy. Obviously, we have Goten continuing the DXF superhero line, which is really cool. This guy looks fantastic, if I do say so myself. Very, very nice. I really, really like the look of this guy. This might honestly be the best looking one so far. Him and Trunks are going to look fantastic next to each other. And we have the history box Gohan Beast, which is really, really cool. Obviously, right after he finishes transforming and gives the smirk to Cell. Definitely very, very cool, obviously, with the aura effect and the lightning. It is kind of a shame that his head isn't tilted, because I know he tilts his head a little bit when he does this. However, that might look a little bit weird in figure form, so I'm kind of glad that they just did it, you know, straight on. Even though that may look a little bit weird for my brain, I think for the figure, it will probably end up being a little bit better. So we'll take more looks at these guys in a moment, because we actually have some multi-angles of them in a second. But if we scroll up here, this was actually something that I wanted to point out in the last video, right? The history box Goku. The Gohan is basically a better version of the old Shingi Den. I probably butchered that. I apologize. Goku. Similar weight and effects come with the figure, right? Which is kind of wild, right? That some old Bandai shenanigans of anti-consumerism here. You had to buy the effect as a separate piece, which is kind of wild, because I've never heard of Bandai doing this in the past besides this guy, really. But yeah, very, very crazy, honestly. And as you can see, it's also kind of wild. Baggy notes here that, as you can see, right, even more so in Japan, since the case had more figures than effects. So that means that there are more Gokus floating out there than there are effects for this figure, which is kind of goofy, if I do say so myself. This guy was talking about how I remember this Bam Presto Trunks. I've always wanted this figure for my collection, but I think it's a little rare now. There was a prize figure that had the Spirit Sword, and they sold the sword separately from the figure, which was just so goofy to me. But nonetheless, yeah, as you can see, right, this is almost like a spiritual successor to the SSBK figure, so that is kind of cool, if I do say so myself. We do have some 4K images of the boy right here. I'll just go through these pretty quickly. Obviously, we've seen this figure a million times now. Piccolo. Obviously, when it comes to Solid Edgeworks, they always do some pretty cool marketing nowadays with these figures, and no exception for our boy. This is heat, bro. This looks sick, if I do say so myself. And actually, a very good point made by this individual Hunter here. As you can see, this is probably Namek Arc Piccolo, is what this is supposed to be, right? I guess when he's throwing off the turban and the cloak, probably to fight Frieza, I would have to imagine, because later on in the series, he has the V-cut, like a lot of the Z fighters do for their gis, right? But here, obviously, he's basically just wearing the normal shirt. So that is kind of cool that this is technically a Namek Arc Piccolo. Now, you guys know that I am the certified Gohan Beast stan. I am a Gohan Beast fanboy, right? I love Gohan Beast. I would do anything for Gohan Beast, right? I'm basically planning on getting every single Gohan Beast figure that is coming out this year. However, holy cow, as much as I would say that we have our best Gohan Beast figure thus far, that being the Figuarts Zero Gohan Beast, I think we have found our worst Gohan Beast figure, that being the Gigantic Series Gohan Beast. Yuck! Wow. This thing is, this thing's ugly. Holy cow. So before we even get into all that, let's take a look at the face first. If you are unfamiliar with the Gigantic Series line, this series used to kind of be basically like a giant vinyl figure line. They kind of then transitioned to like some rubber ducky-esque kind of material, right? That is sort of what the vinyl was akin to in the first place as well. And then they changed to the proper like sort of PVC material that a lot of other figures are used, and they've kind of stuck with that over time. There have been some pretty cool stuff from the Gigantic series. We've gotten a Bulma from Dragon Ball that I know is very popular. I think that the Android 17 and the UI Omen Goku also look pretty cool from the Gigantic series. Of course, the 17 being the Ranger 17. And I was kind of looking forward to this, because this might have been the first Gigantic series figure that I ever purchased. 17 and Goku were the only two I ever really considered. But With a face like that? Absolutely not. What were they thinking? This thing is so ugly, bro. And not to mention, let's then talk about the hair. This is a good picture to talk about it here because holy cow, why does it look like that? It looks like the top of a paintbrush. And I mean, like, I guess Gohan's hair kind of looks like that in Gohan Beast, but it's certainly a lot more spread out, right? It's a lot more spiky. It's not as, like, rounded, I guess, right? Like, this kind of hair is almost shaped like a lemon on this figure, whereas, you know, I would say normally it's shaped more like... I don't have a good fruit or vegetable analogy to say what his hair is normally like, but you can tell by looking at this guy, right? That this guy just, he ain't it. 100%. I think that the body doesn't even look that bad, to be honest. It looks okay. I will say his arms almost look a little bit too big for his chest. Like, the kind of ratio to the body mass here looks a little bit weird. Like, his body looks too small for these big arms. Like, I feel like his arms also shouldn't be that long as well. I don't know. This guy just looks all kinds of weird. The bang also looks a little bit silly. Looks a little weird, if I'm being honest with you. I would not recommend this. This figure, by the way, is definitely going to run you around. I know the comments section saying here, 160 bucks. This guy is going to be 17k yen, which, I mean, again, not an exact, you know, conversion, but basically like 170 bucks for this guy. The Gigantic series is known for being quite expensive, and it is also made by the same company that does the, like, Hype Beast Dragon Ball figures that is still official, which is, I think, Arise, or maybe that's the name of the line. Same company, I think, that does the Sophobi figure, which technically is still all Bandai, because Bandai is the overarching, like, umbrella that kind of owns all these companies. It's kind of like how Google and Microsoft own a bunch of these individual companies, but you still call them, like, the name of the company, right? Rather than the big boy company name. I would definitely not recommend this guy. This is probably the only Gohan Beast that I'm not going to get. I mean, if somebody gives me this figure for free, I'll probably do a video on it, but I don't think I will be purchasing this guy. Sorry if anybody really wanted to see a video on that. But we do have a couple of dates and whatnot for some prize figures here. The Matchmakers Goku and Frieza will release May 16th in Japan, with the DXF Beast releasing the 19th in Japan, and Trunks releasing the 25th in Japan. Gohan will manage to make Dragon Ball hit 1,000 game stations, potentially. That will be pretty cool if that's the case, because I know that hasn't happened in a while in terms of Dragon Ball figures being that widespread, going to all of these different, you know, basically arcades where all the prize figures are and whatnot. So yeah, we'll see. It definitely will be interesting to see as well if Baggy's prediction here is right, that 700 to 800 for this guy, and then the BOS Beast will be in the thousands. We'll have to see when the time comes. However, moving on up, we do have some high quality pictures of the boy, and yeah, definitely I think that the Gigantic series was trying to do this face, but they definitely did it a lot worse than this guy for sure. These are the special production images, by the way. Usually how this goes is that they give you the normal ones, then they give you some with these kind of a pretty little background here, right, to kind of give it a little bit of extra pizzazz. But yeah, pretty cool, if I do say so myself. I definitely like the look of this guy. I'm very curious to see how big he's actually going to be outside of the box. It'll be interesting to see, for sure. Very, very cool looking, though. And we do have the boy Piccolo here for the special production images. And you can actually see here, right? I was talking about how this is actually Piccolo's cape. And you can actually see the outline of the shoulder pieces. It's not just like a kind of blob of cloth here, right? You can actually see that it is sculpted properly. You can even see the part that would go around his neck right there, which is really, really cool. Definitely a very interesting way to do that. And I much prefer that for a stand than, you know, just a block of plastic, basically. Pretty cool, if I do say so myself. We have even more multi-angles for this guy, right? There is the hair. That was kind of the angle that I was looking for. We got the very nice big spike for the bang, which is pretty cool. You always love to see that. And I would say they did a pretty good job on his hair. Obviously, it's big, which is, you know, kind of Gohan Beast. It's pretty ridiculous, right? Definitely looks pretty good overall, if I do say so myself. I don't really think there's anything too, you know, like, that I can really nitpick about this guy. I think overall he looks pretty good. I mean, there is definitely something for me. I think his face maybe just a little bit looks slightly off, but overall I'd say he looks pretty fantastic. I did want to see in the comments, somebody did say here, yeah, I was going to say, I don't think so that this guy has any reused parts from the DXF. They do have the same pose, but obviously this figure is a lot smaller. The history box line is very, very much so smaller than the DXF, so I would assume that that would kind of be a no on that one, but very good looking figure, if I do say so myself. We also have some multi-angles of Goten here. Again, looks really, really nice. Definitely excited to pick up this figure for sure. We have the B version of Piccolo, right? Very, very cool. I do like the intense look on Piccolo's face, 100%. And unfortunately, can we get a better angle of it with the Banpresto logo not kind of blocking us? Yeah, I guess if we look from here, right, you can see on the B version, we can get a better look at the back of Piccolo's cloak here, right, where you can actually see that they have the neck piece right there, and you can see the shoulder pieces there. It does kind of look like it's filled in a little bit, which I mean is kind of unfortunate, but I don't really know if making this hollow would have been a good idea to make this a base, so I guess I understand why they kind of just like color that in basically, or put a little bit of filling in there. But yeah, you can see here too from this one, right, that obviously it is 100% the cloak, which is really cool. I definitely like that. Very unique, and it's nice to see Bandai doing more unique things like this. Here is the Prize A Piccolo, also looking very, very good too. I definitely like this one a lot. Both, I think, are good. I don't think that there's a bad option here. Personally, I might pick B just because I definitely like the expression a little bit better. Funny enough, I forgot I asked Baggy which one he liked better, and he said A, which was kind of interesting. But to be fair, again, I don't think Piccolo with the turban is, you know, a very common figure. So, pretty cool to see. We did then have, oh boy, speaking of Dragon Ball Arise, we have the second form Frieza here. This is kind of a weird looking figure in the face department. I think his body looks okay. The tail looks really, really good. There's a little bit of gapping right there in the back. That's not good for a figure that's this expensive, but he definitely looks a little strange. I think his legs are also not centered. Like, this leg looks longer than the other, almost like it's making his body lean in one direction. Interesting. Yeah, definitely not a fan of this one. And again, with this line, right, the Arise line, these figures tend to be, like, really overpriced. Like, this figure is going to cost you $200 or more out of the old bank account. So definitely don't really recommend this line, especially considering it's also not that high quality for the absorbent amount of money that you would have to spend on it too. Moving past that, we do have the heights for all of this stuff coming out in September. For Goten, he's going to be 12 centimeters, Gohan, excuse me, is going to be 12, Goten is going to be 14, Piccolo 19, which is interesting, but does make sense. Like I was saying, the history box line is very small compared to all the other lines. It's even smaller than the DXF line, which is already a relatively small figure line as it is. So that definitely makes sense there. However, do keep in mind, as weird as this is to say, excuse me, I'm burping all over the place, the official heights are kind of not to be trusted when it comes to this sort of thing, because for some reason the official heights typically don't reflect in the actual end product of the figure. So I would kind of just take it with a grain of salt when it comes to, you know, the actual size of this figure, and then when we'll actually get it in person, what the actual size will be. We got a couple more production images of the boy. I'll go through these pretty quickly because obviously at this point we've basically seen this over and over, but this is the gray version of the background, and I will say this is obviously a little bit of a different angle that we've seen before. Yeah, something about his face definitely looks a little bit strange from this angle. I can't quite put my finger on it, what it is, but it definitely, something about it is a little off, if I do say so myself. Definitely not the worst. Again, like it's certainly not a bad looking figure, but something about it in my brain is just making something trigger up there. Not that kind of triggered. Oh geez. Moving on to Piccolo. Obviously this is some more special production images for the boy, which is pretty cool, as you can see here, obviously with the Solid Edgeworks logo blazoned everywhere across this figure. Again, very nice looking. Piccolo's been getting a lot of love, and it makes sense. Obviously, with Superhero having just come out, it makes sense that they are kind of gassing up the boy in terms of giving him all kinds of different figures and stuff like that, so that is pretty cool. And before we go on to another big jump here, we do have the factory confirmations for these figures right here. So nothing for Dragon Ball is actually going to be going to China for the September figures. We are all going to be having our figures come from Vietnam this time around. If you guys are unfamiliar, I feel like I talk about this every figure news video, but the TLDR of this is basically Vietnam was kind of in charge of making some of the Dragon Ball figures at one point, and now they are in charge of a lot more. Originally, their figures kind of didn't look that good when they came out of the frying pan, but nowadays they have seemingly improved the quality a lot of these figures, but it will be interesting to see what they actually look like at the end of the day. I know that the DXF line has kind of been hit or miss when it comes to the superhero stuff so far. I did get my Piccolo and Gohan, and I do like how they turned out, so hopefully Goten will actually end up looking as good as he does in the production image here. And I do believe, yes, I think these are the last two things we have before we take another big jump here. The May Geo store numbers for Goku and Frieza, it is 32. For Trunks, it is 66, and Gohan 72. Keep in mind, this is basically like how many figures each store is going to be receiving. Deku is finally going the way of Goku and Tanjiro. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, to be honest with you, because Deku has had a ton of figures in recent time, and now it seems like he is also on the decline, which is kind of wild, to be honest with you. One, I just realized, I didn't realize it was that low. Holy cow, how are they even gonna, like, sell that? That's crazy. Anyway, I know I told you guys that I would give you a update on this, which is pretty cool. As you can see here, we do have the Japanese page for this. This is the nendoroid Masako Nozawa, of course, the voice of Goku in Japan. She is getting a official nendoroid, which is really cool. And as you can see, comes with a couple of accessories, comes with a little book, which I suppose is supposed to be like a script, right? We have the microphone accessory, which is pretty cool, obviously giving a passionate performance here with this little faceplate. And you can kind of combine the two items there, and a little bit of a waving thing there too, which is pretty cool if I do say so myself. Let me actually pull up. I believe that this figure is actually available for pre-order now. I will say, I am sure that it is probably not like a problem to pre-order from Good Smile's official website, but I know for a fact that the pre-orders for Masako Nozawa, yes, I said that right. I thought I messed it up for some reason. You can actually pre-order her on the Good Smile website. Oh, there's a video of her. I will definitely get copyright claimed if I play that, but if you want to watch that video, definitely go do that. Well, the US one, yeah, okay, so the US one is actually only $61.99, which is pretty cool. Geez, that should show you how bad the conversion from yen to USD is right now. Holy cow, sorry Japan. But yeah, I do think that there's like $10 shipping on this. Again, I don't know the details because I've never ordered from Good Smile, but this is up for pre-order now if you would like to get one. I may actually cop this myself despite the shipping being a little bit expensive, because by golly, I need this in my life. Very cool nendoroid for sure, that they obviously are making one out of such a legendary voice actor as Masako Nozawa herself. And the other thing that's kind of wild, if you look at, where is that image? Right here. Why can I not click on it? I think I have to like click up again and then click on it here. That's weird. Apparently it actually has voice like clips inside the figure. Yeah, featuring newly recorded voice clips. So it literally has, I don't know where the button is because I don't really see it on the figure, but somewhere on here You can play voice clips. Like, I don't see anything because that little hole in the back is just where the nendoroid stand would go. So I have no idea how you actually play the voice lines from her, but apparently she has some kind of voice function in the figure. So that is super cool, if I do say so myself. Definitely worth the purchase, I would say. But yeah, very, very cool stuff. Definitely pretty awesome that they made a nendoroid out of her. Packaging size for the boy Gohan Beast here, obviously going to be made in China. The packaging size is going to be 26 centimeters by 21 by 20. So if you would like to cop this guy and you kind of want to know how big the box is going to be when it arrives at your door, there you go. All right, so we do have some final images for the Gohan Beast Ichiban Kuji. You guys probably remember me making a video when this guy initially got announced a fat minute ago. And we have some final images for this guy from Bandai with the actual figures out and about with these backgrounds here. And I gotta be honest, here is the look of the Gohan Beast. This, of course, is the Prize A version of this guy. Yeah, the face definitely looks a little weird. I gotta be honest. I am glad that I did not try and pre-order this guy anywhere, because holy cow, that face is not great. I think that I am actually probably going to skip this guy. I was going to try and import him, but by golly, that face is it's a little ugly. And here is the last prize version, which again is the Masako. Yeah, that's correct. I was going to say Makanko Sapo, but my brain tried to autocorrect. This is the last one prize version, which again is basically like the rarer one. And of course, they made it the actual special beam cannon. His face, not doing him any justice here, honestly. Here is a comparison with the side-by-side. Yeah, the face definitely looks worse. His head is like squished, or his face is squished. Like, his eyes were definitely a lot bigger here. The teeth seem to encompass a lot more of his mouth. He also was looking straight at the viewer with kind of like a cocked side eye, and now he kind of looks like he's looking at the ground. I mean, it kind of looks like he's looking at you, but definitely it looks like he's looking more straight forward now. Definitely a downgrade for sure. It also kind of looks like a little bit more glossy on the hands, like it's lower quality material or something like that. The hair basically looks the same. There's a couple of slight differences though. Like, you can see that with the head, right, unless it's just the angle, this particular hair spike was made smaller. As you can see, this one is much bigger. And also the way that they're like kind of folding over his head is a little bit different. Also, something about the bang looks a little bit different, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Yeah, I think this face looks a lot worse. Like, it's definitely not the worst I've seen, but it looks a lot more like a bootleg to me than the regular, well, not the regular version, because I mean, it's the production image, and now it's not going to exist. Because of course it's just the production image version of it, right? Which is always why I talk about how you can never trust these production images completely to end up being what the final version of the figure will look like, because by golly, that is so much worse. That is awful, frankly. So, let's talk about the other figures in this set now. We do have Boo. I will say, again, I was not really excited for Boo, but he looks good. Like, he looks a lot better than I was expecting. It's kind of a shame that you can see this is where his head connects to his neck, and it's like this clear line, right? There isn't really like any way that you can kind of make that mesh a little bit better, I guess. You know, it's a very clear like gap right there. But again, I'm assuming that's because you stick the head on the body. But by golly, he looks pretty good. I am honestly shocked how good this guy looks. I may actually cop this guy because I have like no Boo figures whatsoever. So he honestly looks pretty good. We have Orange Piccolo here. We have the boy in his big boy form, right? Looking pretty cool. I will say I do kind of agree with this person right here. This definitely looks a little weird for the face. He's kind of got that Giga Chad look going on, which, I mean, I suppose fits the form. But it's something about the way he's, like, pursing his lips. Or lack thereof, I guess. That kind of makes him look a little weird. Like, it kind of looks like he's making a little bit of a kissy face, right? That's definitely what it looks like to me, for sure. I think besides his mouth, though, the rest of the face looks fine. I don't really think there's anything else too off about it. The body itself obviously looks really, really good. Definitely looks pretty nice. I think for me personally, I may still try and get this figure because this would be kind of cool to display with another Gohan Beast figure that we'll get, right, out of the bunch of the prize figures that we're getting this year, and then kind of have this guy be like the giant version of Orange Piccolo, right? Whereas the other prize figures that will be closer in size to Gohan Beast will be like when he's not grown giant yet. So that could be a cool display, right? Having this guy actually be a very big version of Piccolo. I think that that would be awesome, right? Again, I think that overall it still looks pretty good. Again, you can definitely see that little bit of pursed mouth. Like, look at his cheeks. So weird why they, like, push that out almost. Kind of weird. Cell Max as well. I like this, personally. I don't really have any problems with this guy, honestly. There's nothing really, like, with Gohan's face obviously being a little ugly and Piccolo kind of gotten that. Maybe it's not Giga Chad. Maybe it's more like, you know that meme of recently that people have kind of been using as, like, sort of a Giga Chad-esque meme of, like, that guy pursing his lips? Everybody's talking about that new Transformer that kind of looks like he's doing that face. That's kind of how Piccolo looks, but I think Cell Max looks good. Definitely no complaints from me. Obviously, this is designed by the person who does all of the different, I forget his name, but the monster Ichiban Kuji characters that we get, like the Porungas, the Shinrons, the Great Apes, right? Stuff like that. That guy clearly sculpted Cell Max here, and by golly, he looks pretty good. I think it definitely helps that they don't really have, like, a face to make. Obviously, he's a lot more monster-esque, considering that he is second form Cell. I will also probably try and get this guy to see if I can import him, because I'm assuming we're, like, never going to get a Cell Max figure besides this guy. Maybe we'll get one prize figure or something like that, but obviously this guy will be pretty big, so it'll be kind of cool to display him next to some of the other superhero figures. But yeah, overall, pretty decent. It's kind of a shame that Gohan came out the worst. However, I will say, I guess that's not such a bad thing now, considering the fact that we have so many other options for Gohan, right? You have the Figuarts 0 one, the DXF one, the History Box one, the Blood of Saiyans one, not to mention, you know, now for Orange Piccolo as well, you have a bunch of different options for him, right? The DXF one, the History Box one. I didn't even mention the SH Figuarts versions of both of those, but obviously those aren't, like, statues. So yeah, definitely some very interesting stuff here. I'm kind of curious why Gohan's face changed so much. Like, this image to me is just telling, to say the least, with the face. Like, he has such a lot more forehead for some reason. I don't know. Really weird, if I do say so myself. This was Baggy talking about Metal Cooler here. This was just talking about some comparisons between years previous. And this was kind of an interesting piece of merch here. From Group Eric for Europe. Double-sided Dragon Ball Z jigsaw puzzles in different Dragon Balls. Very cool. Kind of interesting that they decided to do this. But, I mean, it's kind of cool if you're into these sort of thing. I definitely think that they could have chosen some better art for sure, right? These are kind of some older promotional arts that are kind of I feel like, on some of them. Some of them are definitely like classics, you know, a couple of them, like this one, right, I think is a really good one, for sure, the 7-star ball here. Maybe even like this one with Vegeta, right? I know that this render of Gohan's kind of like a classic. Like Raditz's face here, though, looks a little bit weird. But a lot of these like older Dragon Ball like renders for the movies, or I guess more like posters, kind of just look like they threw a bunch of PNGs on a background, which is just kind of what it looks like, right? Kind of funny that there's an extra Shinron puzzle, apparently. Oh, I see. Wow, that's a crazy gimmick. You have to collect all the Dragon Balls to build the full Shinron puzzle. That is such ridiculous marketing, but I guess that's one way to get somebody to buy all the different puzzles. Very interesting. We are actually approaching the end of our journey here for today. A couple of interesting things to kind of give you a little bit of a teaser as to what's to come and some interesting things to kind of keep in the back of your mind when it comes to stuff that's upcoming for figures. This coming week actually has nothing crazy in terms of prize figure reveals. May is going to be even more hectic because the last quarterly calendar update will be Monday, it seems. Let's see. May is going to be even more hectic. Last quarterly calendar update Monday. Maybe I'm misinterpreting that. I'm not exactly sure what that means, to be honest. If someone in the comments knows, let me know. But nonetheless, October stuff drops in 3 weeks. Then we will have a prize fair after that. So we will basically be waiting for 3 weeks for stuff to drop in terms of prize figures. We'll probably get something else because it feels like every week there's some new Dragon Ball figure thing. So we will get to see the October stuff then. It'll be kind of interesting to see what we end up getting since we are kind of in the dark at the moment. And then obviously with the prize fair after, it'll be interesting to see what they show off in person with that. However, one other cool thing that they announced that is going to be coming up in the world of Dragon Ball figures is that Piccolo Day, right? If you're unfamiliar, Goku Day, which I'm sure you've heard about a bunch, is also technically Piccolo Day because it's the same day, ironically enough, just because Goku's name means the date that is Goku Day in Japan, like kind of like a Japanese pun with the way that the language and, you know, the way his name is spelled in Japanese. But that same date in the anime, Demon King Piccolo declares is Piccolo Day, right? So, in honor of Piccolo Day and Goku Day, Piccolo Day vote is going to have the best 5 scenes voted on and will be made into illustrations, and more importantly, some of them, hopefully all, will be made into Ichiban Kuji figures next year, which is actually really cool. If you guys remember, this was actually something similar they did 2020. I don't remember if that's the year that the vote was or if that's the year that the figure came out. I think that's the year that the figure came out, but they did something similar to that with the 59 jacket Goku, right? The Cell Saga casual outfit, as a lot of people call it, right? In those couple of days where after they come out of the hyperbolic time chamber, they're waiting for the Cell games to start. That figure was voted on as the best outfit, or I guess I should say that outfit more specifically, was voted on as the best outfit for Goku. And then they turned that figure into, well, a figure, right? They took that outfit and then made it into a Goku figure because people voted that as the best outfit. So it's something similar that they're doing here with Piccolo, which is pretty cool. So it'll be interesting to see what scenes are chosen for that. With all the superhero hype, I would not be surprised if this ends up being some other kind of orange Piccolo figure. However, I don't know if this is going to be relegated to like Dragon Ball Z exclusively. We'll have to see when it comes to that. But there is definitely some really cool Piccolo stuff that they could do. For sure, there's lots of great Piccolo moments, right? It'd be awesome if we got like Piccolo's sacrifice to save Gohan in the Saiyan saga, right? Obviously, we kind of just got one where he fights Frieza on Namek, right? Obviously, a Cell saga one where he fights Imperfect Cell or 17 could be great, right? Him training Gotenks, you know, the funny expression where his jaw, you know, drops, right? With Goten and Trunks there, you know, all those moments could be great for different figures. So that'll be cool to see what they make of that, right? We'll have to see what you can actually vote on for that. And I will see if I can find that after we talk about the last piece here, which is Goku's famous manga lines will be actually voted on, and apparently the winning one will be commercialized. That is kind of interesting. So I'm assuming that basically means like we're going to be getting merch of whatever particular line ends up winning, right? Whatever that may be out of Goku's various different lines throughout the manga. Kind of an interesting thing to do, kind of basically making merch out of a specific quote, but that is certainly pretty cool. Funny enough, if we go to the English official Dragon Ball site once again, for some reason it's just in Japanese. They didn't translate it. I don't know why. I guess we can just do this botched English translation, but obviously stuff that is like images like this, right, is obviously not going to become translated. I wanted to see, ooh, okay, so yeah, we have the scenes right here, it actually seems. This is a refresh. Oh. Okay, so we can actually refresh this to see a couple of the different scenes that are available to be voted on. I don't know why they change here. or how exactly you vote. Oh, this is an image. Let's see. What do we do here? Oh, see. Oh, this is just saying, oh, this is just a quiz. Okay, I see. This isn't actually voting. So I think the vote isn't actually available yet. This is kind of a funny image of Piccolo. But yeah, it seems like that this is not the actual vote thing, right? This is just kind of like a little quiz. It seems like that this will be going up on actual Piccolo Day, which is, of course, the 9th of May. But for now, they just have this little quiz here, which, of course, you can kind of just guess, you know, oh, which, you know, scene is this, right? But I'm assuming that basically these scenes, right? We'll take a look at this website once again, once the actual thing goes up for Piccolo Day. But assuming these scenes are probably going to be some of the ones that they choose for potential things that could be made into Piccolo figures and merch and whatnot. So, yes, let's go! Dude, I would go crazy for the Post Boy Piccolo figure, bro. That'd be crazy. Anyhow, yeah, very cool to see some of the different things that we could potentially see as figures and merchandising in the future. This is a really weird refresh thing, though, I will say. Like, I don't know how this works in terms of giving you what image, but I've gotten, like, the same one a bunch of times in a row like this. So, I don't know. Kind of weird, but some also, like, really interesting scene choices. Like, some of these are pretty obvious, but, like, this is just Piccolo sitting here. Like, I know this is more than that, right? But still, just kind of, like, funny that they choose this one, you know? Anyhow, moving past Piccolo here, the actual last couple things that we have are the high-quality production images for these guys right here. Again, we've seen these basically throughout the day, so I'm not going to hold you on those for too long. But of course, I'll show them nonetheless. And this is a pretty cool little thing that Baggy noticed that I actually did not notice. As you can see here, right, having a bit of red hue on the gi to further emphasize the aura effect is pretty cool. You can see that on the gi there is kind of little hints of red. Which is actually pretty cool. Again, keep in mind, funny enough, this person actually talks about it. Definitely keep in mind that this is just the sample, right? This is just the production image, so we'll have to see if the actual figure ends up like this. But yeah, pretty cool that is in there. And then, of course, Baggy has this thread of all the different Dragon Ball art that is become figures throughout the years, and the Gohan Beast art. And, of course, this moment when he transforms against Cell Max became this figure. Again, this is maybe the other thing, right? Because like I was saying earlier in the video, he tilts his head in this scene. But I'm also used to seeing this art here on the cover of this V-Jump magazine because I've seen this render floating around. So it's kind of funny that they didn't kind of have this become, you know, like his head tilting upward, but I think that this fits more for like what happened in the movie. This is also pretty cool. Obviously, this figure being a reference to this one, and then of course the history box Gohan Beast, just being the Masenko from the movie, but you know, technically that piece of art. But yeah, pretty cool. Nonetheless, also pretty cool thread if you want to check that out. And I think the last thing that we have today, this is another thing for the same people who made those puzzles, a pencil holder that is going to be in the shape of Kame House. Kind of weird, but honestly, I dig it. It's pretty cool. And I suppose you could also probably use this for some kind of backdrop piece to figures as well if you really wanted to. And I think that's pretty much it. There are a couple of Vegeta shirts that are going to be coming out from VQ Fit, as well as Goku and Vegeta and Boo, as well as Android 17. Pretty cool. Obviously, the red ribbon variant of Android 17, and this also being referencing this original piece of Vegeta art figure from the Boo Saga. And that is actually everything that we have for you today. So, guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really, really appreciate it. I had to get to the official Dragon Ball site from the Twitter account because that's what comes up first every time I type it in my bar. But thank you guys so much for watching. Again, when we get more information on this stuff for Piccolo Day, I will definitely cover it in a figure news video. I probably won't make a separate figure news video for this. I'll probably just cover it in our bi-weekly recap. Because obviously there's not going to be any like figures shown or anything like that. But it'll be kind of interesting to see what we get in the next 2 weeks for figures, because I'm kind of assuming that it's not going to be a lot, because like Baggy said, you know, it won't be 3 weeks till we get production images. And obviously we just got a huge drop of stuff from, you know, Metal Cooler to, you know, some of the final images of the Ichiban Kuji and whatnot. So we'll have to see what comes up in the next couple weeks for Dragon Ball figures, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think of everything that we discussed in today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And again, You, my friend, let me know what you guys think of this whole situation in the comment section below, because I would be very curious to hear your thoughts on Metal Cooler. I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.